Ciao guys and welcome back to Board Wipe. This is Mali and today we're gonna talk about how to improve your Silvie recollection. Yes, this video took quite some time to be here, but you know, practicing, studying, trying takes time. And I got to be honest, I've tested, tried and studied a lot about Silvie just because I like these decks a lot, and at the moment is my main deck and I've recently won a tournament with this, so probably I can say something useful about it. So without further ado, let's talk about how to improve your Silvie recollection. Starting from minions. Most of the minions that are already in your recollection are pretty good, honestly. You probably already got 98-95% of the minion needed, so let's just say what kind of minion you don't need. Right now you don't need the blue slime, just because it's kinda meh, kinda useless, to be honest. It could be good, but you know, Pride 3, it's a problem, and I can't see any play with him right now, so you don't want to play this one. And the red slime, because it's, you know, kinda meh. It's not that good, its body, it's not that much, it's a late game minion, and it doesn't have that, you know, late game effect that we are searching for as Storm Slime or the Ethereal Slime. They are pretty strong minions, and that's what you're searching for in advanced minion, not like the red one. So let's moving on, and that's mostly it. You know, all the other minions are kinda useful in their own way and they can see some type of play. This video should be a little shorter, so let's take some time to analyze each minion and their potential. Let's start with the non-advanced ones, so normal, fire, water and wind. And the first one is the Baby Gray slime. Baby Gray, it's unexpectedly useful. And when I say unexpectedly, I mean very unexpectedly, just because it's a 1/1 and draws you a card. And you can say, yeah, that's it. No, he has intercept. It's a 1/1 with intercept. And in combo with some other allies and a slime shield that we're going to see later, it could save your life against some champion like Diana or some very aggressive minion deck. You know, it's a 1/1, draws a card, intercept, and it saves you. It costs 2, super minion. Baby Gray Slime. The Baby Green Slime, it's a 1/1, it costs 2, but it's a simil Zephyr effect. It can suppress an item or a weapon. Pretty useful against some Diana decks or some pretty aggressive deck that wants to swing to you with weapons, or if you have a cake, you can suppress your own cake so you can draw another card at the end of the turn. We'll talk about the cake later. Baby Red Slime. The Baby Red, it's a pretty aggressive card, to be honest. It can push 3 damage without any buff, just by discarding another fire card, and you have quite a few fire cards that you want to discard, and then draws a card in your memory. So if you have some card that you don't like and want to push some damage, you can play your Baby Red, push some damage, discard a card and draw a card in memory. This effect is gonna be pretty useful later, just to play some other card that we're going to see about. Baby Blue Slime. This one is my favorite baby slime, just because its potential, it's abnormous. He can be gigantic, and you know, it's a 1/2 that costs 2, but if you have class bonus, so if you're level 1, it gains 1 health, so it's a 1/3 basically. And if you play him at turn 1, it becomes a 2/4 that costs 2. And this already, it's super strong, just because it's a big body for the meta right now, but it has another effect. You can rest him, and it can prevent 2 damage on another slime on the board. And it's pretty hard to pick him up, you know. It's really strong. It's really strong. Green Slime and Red Slime. I'll talk about them both right now, just because they are useful for some reason and useless for some other. They have Pride 3. Yes, they can be useful in mid-game too, just because they are beast and not animal as the other slimes. So when you level up with Silvie on level 2, you can draw 2 cards if you have one of these 2 and another animal on board. And that's probably one of the primary utilities that they got. But The most useful part about this minion is the fact that it can be targeted by Bestial Frenzy, that we're going to see later, and it's your cleave, essentially. Very good minions, especially the green one, just because you can pick him up from the board with some card that we are going to see later, and pass the buff on other minions. Or the red slime, it's pretty good, just because you can kill him with another card that we're going to see later, and, you know, it's like to do a Purchasing Flame on the other allies. Essentially, it's just another board clear, so that's it. Limitless Slime, one of the most powerful minion in your deck. This big boy, it's a late game boy. What do I mean? It gains some different buffs and powers based on your level. He basically is a 1/1 that costs 3, but if you're level 1, he gains floating memory. If you are level 2, he gains +1 attack and +2 health, and if you're level 3, he gains +1 buffs every time he attacks. So it's not that rare to see some Limitless Slime with +4, 5 buffs, and trust me, he's gonna put a lot of pressure on the game. Let's now pass to my aesthetically favorite minion, the advanced one. Starting with Ethereal Slime. Ethereal Slime, it's a sneaky bad boy, just because he has stealth and true sight. If you're level 5 or more, he will prevent any type of non-combat damage that he's going to receive. But honestly, I've never been more than level 4, I guess, so it's kinda useless. But this minion is just fantastic, just because you can pay 2, play this one. The effect says on enter you can banish a card from your material deck, and if the card it's a tamer card, he gets +1/+1 and you can draw a card. So basically you have a 3/3 that costs 2 with stealth and true sight. The best way to play him is just reaching level 3 with Silvie and use on enter effect by Silvie. So he can become a 5/5 stealth true sight minion. It's just amazing, and it puts a lot of pressure on the game. And when I say a lot, I mean a lot. My favorite one, the Storm Slime. Aesthetically speaking, is just too cool. But you know what's cooler? His effect. It costs 2, and on enter, as a spell, he deals damage based on slime cards that you have banished this game. It's like an erratic bolt and a high level counter mixed with a slime. And you know what? It's a 3/1, so if it doesn't kill you with his magic, it can physically kill you. Probably my favorite slime of this deck. Lustrous Slime, or Lustrous, I don't know how to pronounce it correctly. He's the bulky boy of the deck. He's a 1/5, it costs 2, and on enter you can show how many slime cards you have in your memory, and he's gonna take a buff for each slime card in your memory. So usually you're going to play him as a 2/6, 3/7, and he has Taunt and Pride 5. Is this a problem? No, you have a wall right now on your board. And remember, you can't attack with Pride, but you can retaliate. So if you need to pick up some minion on your opponent's board, you can just and retaliate with him. That said, he has another effect. On that, you can recover X, where X is the number of buff that he has before dying. He is really strong as a minion. And then our last minion, the Slime King. Slime King, it's a kinda hard minion to play, so I don't play him a lot. Usually I put him in the side deck just because he has Taunt, and its effect is pretty good honestly, but as I said, it's kinda hard to summon him just because you need to, and I have to read him just because I usually forget. As an additional cost to activate this card, banish 3 slime card ally, each with different elements from the graveyard. So just to summon him, you need to pay 3 memory and banish 3 minion from your graveyard. That's not always the easiest thing to do, and we're going to see later why. So he's a kinda late card, but he is a beast, so you can target him with Bestial Frenzy, and you're gonna say, but Mali, it's Pride 4. Yes, Bestial Frenzy can give you a level up, so you can deal a 4 damage cleave on the opponent's board, just in case you need it. But the coolest part of this card is the on leave effect. And remember, it's not on death, it's on leave, and we are going to see later why. You may put any number of slime ally card banished by the Slime King onto the field under your control, so you can summon the minion that you've previously banished. And if you got it right, when he leaves, it's a 4/5 with Taunt, just remember it. When he leaves, you can have, you know, a small army of minions on your board. It's a super late game card that probably you are not going to reach that late level just because Silvie it's pretty aggressive as a deck. But in case you do, in case you are playing against, you know, control water decks that takes that time and you need to be safe, so playing with 2 cards in your hand every time, you can reach late game, so you can put it in the side deck and sometimes put it in the deck. Usually I don't like it, but honestly, it's pretty strong. Let's now talk about the minions that you need to buy, just because they are very few, they are 3, and probably you don't even need 2 of them, but they are cool. So let's start with the one that you are probably going to use, so the Engineered Slime. Engineered Slime, it's a 2/2 that costs 2 and has Pride, you know what? 2. Yes, he has some effect, but we don't care. The only reason why we got this slime in the deck is because he's a beast. So you can target him with Bestial Frenzy, and so using the 3 effect of Bestial Frenzy, you can target him and deal 3 damage cleave on your opponent's board on level 2, or you can do a 2 damage cleave on level 1 just by using the effects of Bestial Frenzy. Let's now pass to Vampiric Slime. I don't use Vampiric Slime just because, you know, I don't want to have too many advanced minions in the deck, but I get to say that if you have a Vampiric Slime on your board in late game with some buff on it, it's gonna be pretty useful. It's a 2/2 that costs 2, and on it recover X, where X is the damage dealt. So if you can give him 3 buffs on it, it's going to give you 5 health back. You know, that's a lot, but you need to reach level 3 first. You need to have him in your hand whenever you are playing Silvie level 3. You know, it's too much if for me. Still, it's a good card, but personally, I don't like it. And the last minion that we need is the Twilight Slime. This is the perfect side deck minion. Why? Well, statistically speaking, it's not that good. It costs 3, it's a 1/3, but it gives Spell Shroud to your champ and your other slime allies. And that effect is amazing. It's super strong, especially if you're playing against, you know, Rai or some Merlin decks. This card is gonna save your whole board and your champion too, just because they need to remove him first. You got, as I said, Baby Blue to prevent some damage, some Slime Shield, you know. You can keep him alive and he's gonna save you from fireballs. I guess that's it for the minions. Let's see what action and spells we need for our amazing slime deck. Starting with the ones that you already have. First of all, Slime Eruption. Slime Eruption, it's an amazing card. It deals damage based on how many minions you can banish from your graveyard, but you can banish any amount of fire slime allies from your graveyard and 2 non-slime allies per Slime Eruption. So you need to be careful. Other than that, it has Floating Memories, so it perfectly combo with your Baby Red Slime. You know, you can discard it, you now have a Floating Memory, you know that. Gather Slimes. Gather Slimes, it's an amazing card. This card costs 2, and its effect is quite simple. We need to pick 5 cards from the top of our deck, show them to the opponent, and we can pick up a minion allies and put in our hand. Other than that, we'll recover X, where X is the number of allies shown. Then we took all the cards that we have shown, aside the one that is in our hand, and put them under the deck. This card is amazing when you need to find a Storm Slime to close your game, or you know, you just need some health back. This is the one. Slime Shield. We've nominated it a lot already, but let's now talk specifically about it. Slime Shield prevents 3 damage on a unit, so you can use it on your champion too if you need to prevent some damage. And if the unit that have been used on it's a slime, put a buff counter on it. It costs 2, but when you reach level 2, it costs 1. This card is probably the most busted card in your deck. It can save your minion, it can save you, it can give buff on your minion. It's just too much for a card like this. I play it in 3 copies, but sometimes I'd like to have 4, so your choice. Let's now talk about the card that you don't have in your recollection and when you need to buy a side. Of course, I'm just going to nominate Dungeon Guide, because you are a level 3 champ and you need Dungeon Guide when you play a level 3 champ, so Dungeon Guide of course. Let's now talk about Blissful Calling. Honestly, Blissful Calling is in my side deck. I don't play it by main because I already have Gather Slimes, and this is a cheapest version of Gather Slime. It costs 1, you can pick up 5 cards, choose an ally and put it in your hand, and the rest of the hand under the deck. So it's the same thing, but you don't gain back any health. Yes, it costs 1. So if you need to play aggressive, you need to search for a specific minion, it could be good, but as I said, I prefer it in the side. Bestial Frenzy. This card is gonna be a little expensive by now, just because it's like 30 bucks, if I'm not wrong, but it's super useful just because it's cleave, and you know, cleaving a board right now against some kind of deck, it's super strong, especially against aggro ones like Wind Lorraine or Wind Diana or Water Tonoris. This makes the difference. Bestial Frenzy costs 2 and it has 3 effects, but with class bonus you can pick up 1 more, so you can choose 2 effects on 3. The first one is that you get +1 level until the end of the turn, so you can play, as I said, a minion with Pride 3 on level 2. You can attack with it. The second one is that target minion gains +1 attack, and the last one is that specific beast, because it must be a beast, gains cleave. So let's make an example. If you have an engineered slime on board and you are level 2, you are going to play Bestial Frenzy, give him +1 attack and cleave for 3 on the board. Or if we are late game, your oppo plays, you know, some really bulky minion, you can play a Slime King, use Bestial Frenzy, gain +1 level and cleave for 4 with your king. And if your opponents retaliate on the king, you can spawn an army. That's Bestial Frenzy. Escape the Wreckage. Escape the Wreckage, it's an amazing card, and I get to be honest, I've underestimated it for a long time. But in combo with some of your minions, is just amazing. It gives you plus on plus in your hand. You can save your minion and do a lot of stuff. It costs 3 and you can return the minion you control in your memory. If you do, draw a card in memory. You can save minion, you can pick them back. For example, just the Storm Slime, it costs 2. You can deal damage with him, use Escape the Wreckage, and deal damage again. Or some kind of minion like the Slime King, they triggers just because they have on leave, or the Green Slime. In this deck, Escape the Wreckage makes the difference. Whoopsie, sorry, I forgot one of the best cards in the deck, and it's the Forest Cake. You already have this card, and it costs 2. It's an item, so it stays on your board, and on enter, you can draw a card. And this, already, it's a good effect, but you're going to say, what's the utility about that cake? The cake has another effect. Whenever you play a slime, you can sacrifice the cake to give him +1, a buff. Want to know one of the best combo of the game? Turn 1, play the cake, pass. Turn 2, level 1, play a baby blue and give him a buff. Now you have a 3/5 on board. And you can stack it multiple times, so if you want a 5/6, just use 2 cakes, if you are lucky enough to draw them. Hymn of Gaia's Grace. This card, it's kinda strange to play, and honestly, I don't play it by main, but a lot of you does, so let's talk about it. It costs 3, you can glimpse 3 and draw a card. And this, already, it's a strong effect. And now you can play a minion, specifically an animal or a beast, that costs 3, just because Terra is the advanced element for Silvie, so you are level 3 when you play this card, or less from your hand. And if you do, you can redirect an attack on him, so it can save you from some, you know, Tristan Abnormus attack, it can save you from some Diana's attack, it can save you from some simple attack that wants to destroy some of your minion, and you can summon a minion for free, kinda, so pretty good honestly. And the last card for the main deck for me is Reprogram. I play 4 copies in the side just because right now automatons are kinda strong, and still it's a good card just because he has floating memory, so if you want to put them in your deck and you don't need them, you can discard them just by using your baby red slime. It's fine, it's kinda cool, it's a good card. So, main deck done, let's talk about your material deck. This is where you are going to need the most number of cards, just because your material deck, it could be good, but you need some modification. Useless to say that you're going to need your Spirit of Slime, Silvie 1, 2, 3. After that, Silver Grail. Or the Grand Crusaders, it depends on you. Honestly, this is one of the few decks where I could prefer Silver Grail instead of Grand Crusaders, just because you have to play some really good cards that takes time, or specific situation as Covenant of Thorns that can save your game, but if you're gonna play too early, you're going to waste it. If you play too late, it's just too late to play them. So this or Storm Scale Band, but we're gonna talk about them later. Let's now say that Silver Grail, to me, in this specific deck, it's way better than the Grand Crusaders, but it depends on you. So, since I've talked about it, let's talk about Covenant of Thorns. Covenant of Thorns, it costs 1, but if you have class bonus, it costs 0. It's a Terra card, so you're going to play it on level 3. It's an ally link card, so you need an ally to link it. It can be yours or your opponent's ally, and when you play it, all the damage that your champ is going to take are going to be redirected to that minion. So, for example, if you need to kill an abnormous minion that your opponent has, or you need some protection for any big boom attacks like Rise Fireball, you can play this card and put it on an ally. It's gonna save you some time, it's gonna save you some damage, and sometimes it's gonna win the game directly. Yeah, it happens to me. Stone Scale Band, fortunately, it's a proxy, because it's still in Proxia's Vault, so you can just print it, and you can legally use it in tournament. On enter, you may discard 3 allies from your hand or memory, and you can draw that many cards you have discarded. This card, it's pretty useful, especially in late game, if you have drawn, the usual extra dungeon guide that you don't want to see in late game whenever you have already reached level 3, or some allies that you are not going to play, you can discard them and draw 3 new fresh cards. It costs 0, and that said, that's already amazing, but it has another effect. You can pay 1, rest the Stone Scale Band, and now you can play all your minions as they have a fast activation. This card is amazing just because you can play Taunt Minion in your opponent's turn, so they won't expect that before attacking. You can play Storm Slime fast, so you can, your opponents play a card that prevent damage, you just wait, opponent's turn, pay 1, and then Storm Slime as a fast card, and that's game. Gaia's Blessing costs 1, but you can play it for free just by banishing 4 ally from your graveyard. And that's already good, just because, banishing allies or slime card from your graveyard, it's gonna be good for your Storm Slime, but let's talk about Gaia's Blessing now. After that, you can play with the top card of your deck reversed, or flipped, or whatever you'd like to call it. This way. And then, after flip, you can play all your animal or beast ally on the top of the deck. It's quite impressive, to be honest, how useful this card is, and you won't believe it unless you try it. Trust me, try it. Horn of Beast Calling. This card is super useful, but it costs 1. If you can pay it with floating memory, it will be better. But let's read the effect. You can banish Horn of Beast Calling, and the next beast you are going to play, it costs 3 less to activate. Also, draw a card. As I said before, all your advanced slimes are beast, and some of your normal slime are beast. So this card is gonna be pretty good, especially in late game where you have, 3-4 cards in hand. Draw a card, playing a minion for free, yeah, that's pretty good. Verdant Scepter. This card, it's a quite late game card, but let me talk about it. It costs 1, and on enter, you can banish a slime ally you control. If you do, put some refinement counter based on your slime attacks. Whenever you're going to rest your Verdant Scepter, you can put 2 +1 buff on 2 different slimes, and then draw a card. This card, it's kinda strange, and honestly, I end up banishing it for my second Ethereal slime, or not using at all. But when it happens to need some card, draw some card, buff some minion, sometimes happen that I have a lot of minion, but I can't attack because Peaceful Reunion, Vanish from Sight and things have accumulated a little army. I can just banish 1, draw a card, give buffs, it's okay, it's an okay card. Beastbound Boots. These boots are amazing if you're playing against some mage, as example for Rai or Merlin, just to take some time. If you have a minion, you can banish them and gain Spell Shroud. They cost 0 and that's it. You are not playing against a mage, you can banish them with your Ethereal Slime to gain a buff. Beastbound Pose. This card it's pretty simple as the boots, but it gives True Sight and +1 attack to one beast or animal you control. It's pretty good against decks that use Vanish from Sight and you want to push damage against, or if you want to kill some, fairy like Dream Fairy, Snow Fairy, this card is the card. That said, as for the boots, if you are not going to play it, you can easily banish with your Ethereal Slime. The last two cards that I'm going to nominate are Viridian Protective Trinket and Nullifying Lantern. These cards are side deck cards, but they are pretty good side deck cards just because they can nullify the plays for a lot of pretty good decks like, Nico at the moment. It suffers a lot against both Viridian and Lantern. If you don't like to play against pretty control water deck, Viridian Protective Trinket, it's your card just because it can save you from Frostbind, Song of Frost and things like that. That said, I guess we did it. If you like this how to improve your Silvie RE collection, please leave a like and don't forget to subscribe. We'll see in another video. This is Mali and let's wipe it out.